Hey, what's up, AfterBuzzers? It's your girl, Lauren Ashley Beck, and right now I'm here at the Winter Lifetime Movie Junket. We're gonna get to talk to some awesome actors, and I can't wait. So this is actually one of my favorite stories, the true story, Mommy, Dad, and Dearest. Have you guys seen it?
Yes.
Yes. What'd you guys think of it?
It's compelling. It's like a train wreck. I mean, it makes you want to understand what Munchausen by proxy is. It makes you want to understand what the relationship is. I was so curious about the collusion. Where were they in collusion? What was the agreement? And we don't know because of what you did.
Yeah, right.
Honey,
True.
we'll never know.
Marcia, what do you think Camille's motives were with Gypsy? Her ultimate, what did she want for Gypsy?
To ingest her.
Wow.
There would be nothing left of Gypsy to ingest her. She lived off of her. Their home came from her. And why I say that is because I felt at the end of the story after shooting it, and I didn't know this in the beginning of it, in my body I didn't know, that I think the next step would have been to completely mentally disable her. That Dee Dee would have given Gypsy, and in our story, our characters playing an idea of them, would have given her drugs to mentally disable her forever, so that forever I had to take care of her, and forever I had this burden of love to care for, which gave her definition. And to do that would mean that she would have taken away the very last thing she had control of, which was her brain, because she couldn't, move her body in the way she wanted to, but she could think. And I do think that would have been the next step.
Definitely. Emily, why do you think Gypsy and Esme went along with this plot? Why do you think she just agreed and allowed her mother to take over?
I think her mother was the only person she truly knew and trusted. And, I think that at the core of their relationship, there was a lot of love. I think, I think one of my favorite parts about this is it's complicated. I think they did truly love each other, and there was a lot of trust and a lot of dependence on each other.
Sure.
And I think when you don't know anything better, ignorance is bliss. I think it's really complicated.
Especially at a young age. She didn't know. And Mom is saying you're sick, forcing you down. Her legs must be weak because you're not using them all the time. And I was feeding her drugs that made her feel sick.
Right.
So I think especially at a young age, the level of belief was really high. And as she got older, and when you get older, hormones kick in. Bingo.
Definitely.
And I think that they have a brain of their own.
Yeah.
And I think that dictated a lot of the understanding. In our script, it's the doctor, which we both find is a really interesting scene. It's the doctor who says, by the way, you may not be the one sick, it could be someone else. But we both find it so interesting because that was illuminative of what the rest of society was doing. You're telling the victim, by the way, you might be a victim of that person over there, and they're like,
What?
yeah, so
right.
help me. So get me out of it. What was she gonna do? So
Right.
How do you think she slipped through the cracks of so many doctors, so many different facilities? How do you think that actually happened?
Doctors, when you go to a doctor, you say I have a pain or I feel this or something feels wrong, their number one thing is to believe you. That's their job, is if you are in pain or you need fixing, they're gonna try to do their best to fix you. And I think there isn't a lot of protocol and there isn't a lot of awareness around Munchausen by proxy and Munchausen disease. And I think also there's a hesitancy to say, you're not sick. There's so many liabilities, there are so many court cases. Doctors are sued all the time. And so I think first and foremost, doctors just want to help.
Right.
And they don't necessarily know or have been trained to read the signs for Munchausen's.
right? And there's 2 against 1. Because she's being quiet. And I'm saying, she's got this, don't you, honey? She feels like this, don't you, honey? And I think one of the personalities of people who have Munchausen by proxy is they're incredibly persuasive and incredibly charming on some level. And I think that's what, Dee Dee herself was an expert at playing the victim. An expert at playing the victim.
Absolutely.
And also positivity. Throughout it all, they held a very positive vibe and a positive demeanor, and it was always, we're gonna get through this.
The worse they were, the better other people felt about themselves. We can send them to Disneyland. That poor little cancer girl and that big fat mama. We can send them to Disneyland.
Get them a
Let's
free
do
house.
that,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
And so the worse off we were, the better, I think. And so I think doctors, it does slip by. And also, historically in the world, heinous things happen. And you think, how did all those citizens look the other way or not stand up for those heinous things that are happening? And it's, when you're told enough times that heinous things are okay, that heinous things are right, that it's okay, you believe the emperor is wearing clothing when the emperor is not wearing clothing.
Absolutely. It was so interesting at the end of the film, it said Munchausen's is not recognized in the medical field. That was like mind-blowing to me. I couldn't believe that. Marcia, do you think that Camille's fear of being alone was a lot of why she kept Gypsy home?
That's a very good question. There is some evidence that Dee Dee Blanchard potentially had a history of medically harming people. There was allegedly she might have harmed her mother-in-law, I think, because when she was staying at mom-in-law's house and administering medicines.
Yes.
Mom-in-law got really, really sick, and when she left, mom-in-law got better. So the personality of Munchausen by proxy, where someone is using the medical system to hurt somebody else, is, a mental disability.
Definitely.
Do I think she was lonely? I do, and I think that's why the size of her was an interesting, in this particular case, I'm not speaking generally, manifestation of the smallness of who she became. The bigger she became out here, I think the smaller she became in here as a person, and so that size is really important to me. I can only imagine she was very lonely because she's forcing a best friend.
Yes, definitely.
I think when someone is vulnerable and they need you, it can give you a sense of purpose. And then I wonder who she could have been if she had found another sense of purpose that was centered in her heart and her passion and what she wanted and what she needed, instead of putting it on someone else.
Definitely. Well, you guys definitely brought a crazy story to life. You did it with such grace, and I loved the movie. Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with us.
Thank you. It's so nice to talk to you.
Thank you.